Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat. Happy Wednesday. Happy May Day. Hi, Pat. How are you, my friend?
I am very good. And I was about to open a beer and I was like, do I mute it or do I do it on
Don't
air?
mute
Because
that
I feel like that's
shit.
a happy sound in most people's
Share the
minds. Like,
joy. Yeah.
maybe I should put that in our intro, just the sound of beer opening. Like
Yeah. Or like a
crisp.
wine or a champagne popping or ice clinking.
I'm drinking brotherly love in honor of
Aw,
Solidarity, the International Solidarity Day.
everywhere except the good old US of A, America.
I mean, there's solidarity and,
I
in
know there is like the rest of the world, not but like celebrates this as Labor Day, and as we all know, the U.S. made a concerted effort decision to separate out our Labor Day from the rest of the world.
yeah, we're special. We're American exceptionalism.
Yep. You do not want worker solidarity in this country. No way. Not with the rest of the world. How have you been? Now that we do 2 shows a week, we are always on the phone and yapping. I barely missed you, but how are
We
you?
always know how we're doing too, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like too much. I had a busy week. I'm so beaten up right now because I haven't been working that much. And, my least favorite work thing as an electrician is digging trenches.
Yeah.
So, my body is so beaten up from just the simple labor, which is good because I need to jumpstart getting my ass in gear and back in the gym. But on top of that, you can't see it right now. It probably kind of went away. Strike jumped up out of the bathtub and got me in the nose.
Oh,
which is a first. And I had like blood pouring down my whole body.
Oh no!
From my nose, and the bathroom is off limits because I said she likes to rub up against my toothbrushes, and that's kind of not going to work for me.
Yeah.
So she loves going in there, and anytime she goes in there, she gets mad when it's time to leave.
So she's fighting back.
Yeah, and that was the first time she ever got airborne towards my face, though. So
yeah, that can be bad. And anything on your face that gets cut, it's just like the blood gushes. Actually, Josh still has a scar from probably 23 years ago when our cat scratched him. Like
I have scars from 2 dogs and 2 cats on my body right now. I mean, permanent ones.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Get a pet, adopt a pet. This is my
okay. That's your PSA.
How you doing?
I am good, but you just reminded me that talking about the ditch digging, we once showed a clip of a comedian whom I adore, Nate Bargatze, and his digging a ditch and how that's the hardest thing there ever is. Remember was one of our, Right. And so this is my very long way of explaining that I have a hard out today. It will be a shorter show because when my son Xander gave us COVID back in September, we the following weekend we're supposed to go see Nate Bargatze, and we had to sell the tickets, obviously. And Josh, my husband, right away found the next time he was going to be in LA, which is tonight, which when he bought the tickets way back then, I hadn't realized was a Wednesday. But so here we are. I'm going to have to spring out of here, which is also going to explain my red nose because I didn't put that stuff all over my face since I'm heading out right after. And I just don't like really wearing all of that. So anyway, those are my explanations for my Rudolph nose and my hasty departure.
So Lila has a hard out at 6. But we're gonna milk it for a few minutes if we have to.
We'll see what we can do. The Uber will wait for me out there.
She gave us a little cushion, so we have
a little cushion, but you weren't supposed to reveal that,
I'm bad at this.
Thank you. I don't know where he is. We do miss him. So if anybody hears, let him know we miss him. And I see Kim saying that she hopes you're okay, Pat.
Oh, thank you. I'm completely fine. I'm used to getting beaten up by my cats.
Yeah. And thank you. That's such a nice thing. 2 shows are necessary to keep you saying thank you. I feel the same. There is so much depressing stuff happening in the world. And I'm like so immersed in the news all the time. So to be able to kind of come and have these moments where we talk about it, but find a little bit of joy is really crucial for me as well. So thank you. And yes, Audria, what a disgusting turn of events that the Haymarket massacre affair, whatever happened here. And I was just doing some research on Lucy Parsons, who also, an anarchist who they said was fiercer than 100 rioters. But there's a lot about May Day we had hoped to cover today. And because of all the protests, which I do think tie in to the solidarity, of course, but sort of from a different angle than we had originally thought we would approach May Day, we will mostly be talking about solidarity and protesting the worst people in the world.
Right. And then it all intersects. And, I keep preaching, hopefully this movement happening on the colleges expands beyond Palestine. And I do think it will. Yeah. But I think it's kind of weird to take it there early. Like, we don't want this to be about anything other than Palestine. Right. Well, right. It's about Palestine, but it's good seeing all the solidarity happening, especially with Sean Fain and some others.
Speaking out. Yeah. There's a lot of crossover.
That's really important. So we got to keep it rolling because
So wait, deadline. Right? Is that what you're going to do? Or did I just?
I was literally pushing the button.
Were you really? Okay, go ahead. I'm going to let you do it. Go ahead.
No, I told you, Lila is so much more in tune with today's show than I am.
Oh, stop. That's not true.
I had stuff going on, and
we wear different hats for each show, and we compliment each other well. So we never need to say that.
I pull the cat videos.
Okay. First, we want to thank all of our wonderful pup heroes and cheerers. You guys are amazing. We love that we are now able to do 2 shows. So thank you. You guys have helped us out so much. We love you and are incredibly grateful to all of you. So thank you so much. We do want to start with a cheers, right?
Absolutely. Cheers to all the supporters and this video and the people it entails.
That's right.
And I'll push the button.
Okay.
As soon as I find it. Here we go.
Volkswagen family, welcome to the UAW family.
We are the union. I didn't think it was going to be this big. I thought we would win, but see what we just saw, over 2,000 people saying yes? Yeah. That shows you that Volkswagen, hey, you got to listen to us now.
I've had this feeling twice. 2 boys I've had, 2 sons. But this is my baby right here.
This is awesome, man. I mean, this is history.
Who's got the power? We got the power. What kind of power? Union power.
Speaks is the first time in my life. I'm just so happy for everyone. We're so blessed to have each other. And that's what this proves. The numbers don't lie.
73% of the vote, that's a message. We sent a message tonight. This is a workers' rights movement. We're united because we're a workforce. We're not united because of some small topics or policies. And I just want those elected officials to know they wanted to come try to tell us how to vote and try to tell us how to do our job. I hope that they've learned over the last 3 days that we know how to organize and we sure know how to vote.
I've been here 13 years and I never thought that this would be possible, and y'all just made me so proud to be a Volkswagen employee, so proud to be part of the UAW, so proud to be part of my local 42.
Solidarity forever! Solidarity forever!
What advice would you give to other workers who are in the position right now of organizing their own drives?
Don't be afraid. That fear is not to be had. This just proves that hope wins every time.
We know we can do it. We know they can do it now.
Don't give up. Don't give up. You can do it too. If Chattanooga can do it, anybody can do it.
We're ready to go to Alabama and support Mercedes, baby. We're ready to go, baby.
Believe. We did it. And so many people didn't think we could. We heard over and over and over again, the South is a nut you just can't crack. and we did it. We didn't just kind of do it. We blew it out of the water.
This is just the beginning. History made here in Chattanooga. The domino has fallen. We're the gateway to the South. Mercedes, you're next. That's it.
Here.
Boy, their joy is palpable. I love it. The excitement. That woman who says she's had 2 babies, but this union vote was her baby. That's amazing. So cheers to them, in spite of the fact, yes, that nobody's wearing a mask, which always does sort of take me aback when I see it. I agree. But
That
cheers.
part, but
Yeah.
we're going to focus on the good. Cheers. That's amazing.
I was just commenting on the comments in the chat because I agree, and I just didn't want you to feel unseen.
No,
yeah.
and I totally agree. I saw, especially someone commented, Reflect the Sun, I think, about Jill Stein, and I kind of regret that we had her on and didn't delve into COVID. It was
yeah,
that's my fault. I mean, we intended to.
I mean, yeah, we just got. I mean, I know we should have. Well, when she comes back, I am shocked. I'm shocked by it. I just don't get it. It is such a blind spot for so many people, and I just don't get it.
And she was pivoting towards a more COVID friendly position, so I think that was kind of why we didn't go there a little bit. But look, at this point, she's still got my vote. I don't know where else she go, honestly.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, this is a cheers section, so I want to say cheers.
So cheers. Again. Cheers to them. Congratulations.
If I say cheers 10 times, I have 10 sips of beer. So
there you go.
Drag this section out.
Happy from the outside in. My giant goblin of wine. Okay, so
let's get to it.
Let's hash it out. All right. So what do we got? We got I'm scrolling all the way back up here.
With COVID.
Oh,
which is great because we're going to have a timeline cleanse in about 30 seconds because we don't have much on COVID.
Yeah, we really don't, unfortunately, except for, the worst thing, which is once, Biden is continuing Trump's policy of if you ignore the data, if you don't like reality, ignore the data. So you can ignore the data when you don't pull the data or collect the data. And that's what's happening starting today. Hospitals will no longer have to report data on admissions, occupancy, and other indicators of possible system stress from respiratory diseases to federal officials. COVID era mandate expires. So,
and we're literally watching Biden run. Part of what he's running on is being post-COVID, and he's getting accolades for how he handled COVID by the sycophants, and it's really gross. And he's getting away with it because nobody's challenging on him, and that's where
Jill Stein could be saying something. Absolutely.
Yeah, she's gone a little bit after him on the COVID policy, but you can't if you're not masking.
Yeah,
you don't understand the problem enough.
Yeah. I think that's exactly right.
This is how I feel about it. But anyway, even Trump can run left of Joe Biden on COVID. He can run as if he would have handled this crisis better. He's not going to take up that issue, but they could.
Yeah. He made the vaccines. Well, he is a little bit having to push back because so many Trumpers are anti-vax now. So he's having to kind of straddle a line where he wants to take credit for the vaccinations, which he should, right? But he doesn't want to disavow all of his supporters. So that's an interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. The problem with taking credit for the vaccinations is the vaccine only approach is all his. That's 100% his.
Yep.
And he didn't even get more people jabbed. It's the same trajectory of getting people jabbed that Trump was on.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm not excusing him, but it was made like, he had like a month.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, vaccine only is horrible. We knew about it because that's what scientists who were vocal were saying when Trump was in power. And as soon as Biden came in,
Right.
the death ticker went away and it became, rip that mask off and breathe that fresh air. So,
right. And even if you step aside from COVID itself, you have to blame Biden for where we're going with bird flu, people not preparing for it, covering the science up already. You've got half, so many people now not vaccinating their kids with measles shots.
Yep. And now
directly.
With the bird flu, we don't have any, people aren't wearing masks and it's airborne, and we don't have a way to collect data for what's happening.
Yeah. And imagine coming out right now and saying, oh, this is really real. We have to mask. What's going to happen with that? We know what's going to happen with that. If we get to that spot, it's going to be a nightmare.
I know. It's, they've, just the way I feel like the squad did so much to depress voter turnout for people who were excited to volunteering or donation or voting for the left flank of the Democratic Party. I definitely think that the death of science can be attributed to Biden, because nobody accused Republicans or Trump of believing in science in the first place. But Democrats were supposed to come and bring sanity and rational thinking and science back into the White House, and not what happened. So there we are. Yeah.
But all of this enables a lot of the right-wing stuff. Like I saw some people, they're pretending to be left. I see this more on Twitter now, pretending to be left, but disagree on climate. Now, those are people that are paid actors mostly by the climate industry, I would assume, because it's a weird position to take to agree with. I'm a left just like you, but climate change is fake.
Listen, that's George Galloway.
Yeah. And
he's running anti-war, but he's anti-woke, anti-green, and anti-mask COVID stuff.
Yeah.
So,
when it's the fusion of the anti-mask, anti-COVID. It's an anti-science that quickly merges people over to chemtrails are real. And all this is bullshit. And so you shouldn't trust that the climate is wrong.
And that died suddenly and all of that.
They're just as wrong as the COVID scientists were.
Yeah. Yeah. What happens in that vacuum of the lies and the obfuscation happening from Democrats and pretending that not dying from COVID or being hospitalized is the only thing to be happy about. Whereas we all know that long COVID and the damage to our immune systems happens and increases with repeat infections. But because they don't address that at all, there is this huge hole that has been filled by all these conspiracy theorists. I mean, it's really hard not to be a conspiracy theorist on some level at this point, because we know that nobody in power is actually working to help us. Like, it's very clear. But well, and just ignoring, just not fighting back about that we needed to do this, that the science was real, that these are threats, and know, it's enabled the right to say the lockdowns should never have happened. That lockdowns, so they can blame Biden for the lockdowns as some tragedy, and they get to blow this up as some tragedy in their lives that ruined everything, and their kids are now stupid and going to fail in life, because they had to stay home for a couple months. But because of that, the right can attack him on that, and now he just cowers more and says, "Oh, we'd never lock down again." It's just it's a weak position to be in, which is the definition of the Democrats. They're always cowering to the right. Yeah. I mean, I guess I just don't, sorry to already have
disagree.
I'm going to disagree. I don't think it's weak. I mean, I think it's intentional. I think it's
of course it's intentional.
Yeah.
But I mean, but if you're a normie Democrat,
if you're
don't recognize this is this is what's going on. So you just,
it's like, oh, they're feckless. Well, they had to get, they're being pressured and yada, yada. Yeah. Anyway, it's not good. People, if death is the only metric, it still is up close. I think it was like 700 people this week, but tens of thousands of infections, which, I mean, people are really going to find out the hard way that repeat infections are going to debilitate them possibly for their whole lives. And, you know, there is a lot of fear now that the masking, that people are like, masks don't work because of that stupid Cochrane paper that's been debunked a million times, but they all use that. And, you know, if there is a widespread pandemic with bird flu, apparently it's just going to run rings around what COVID did. It is so much more contagious, and it's airborne, and people aren't masking. So it's going to be a problem.
It's only going to affect the milk. It's going to be
and the air.
Airborne and in everything we use.
Yeah.
And we're all covering up so far it looks like they're covering up what they know is already out there, and pasteurization probably isn't going to do the trick to protect us from it getting into our milk supply. So
yeah. And it's already crossing species and everything. All right. So that was the COVID update, which wasn't much of an update, but still fairly depressing. So it looks like it's time to spin the wheel. Yes. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, baby.
Yes, that's perfect. Perfect.
You're going to a comedy show. We should have a lot of shots.
I need to be really liquored up. Okay. So I'm doing that. I'm removing that one, and then I am.
Yeah, baby.
I need to add some more A's to that. Jeez.
You say what? Yeah, where's all our A's?
Where'd the
Okay,
A's
I
go?
am removing that one. Yeah, it doesn't have to be drink. It can be broccoli time, whatever you want. All right, I'm removing that. And
this is the most election of our lifetime.
I've been thinking that we really all need a tremendous hug in the world right now.
Yeah.
But in our country, we need you to be Mamala of the country.
Imagine what we can do next. 4 more years. Pause. 4 more years. 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 Are you ready? 4 more years. 4 more years.
oh my God. I know we should. Please clap, Jeb.
That part got me
pause.
tearing up.
I know.
Tearing up.
That is so funny. I know we showed the Biden one, I think, on Sunday, but it's just too funny. And I love that Union Buster Drew Barrymore still gets to like wear her mantle of being this compassionate person who needs a mamala hug.
Strike breaking. She did break the strike, and then finally got called out on it, and then finally stopped breaking the strike right when the strike was about over.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, she doesn't get any medals for switching at the end. Terrible
Really
person.
Disgusting.
Selfish as fuck. Like her show is like, you would think it was the news. Like, it has to go on. People need this show. So urgent.
Yeah. Because she's like, well, my whole staff has to get paid. I mean, okay, pay them. Like, pay them.
Other shows were paying their staff during the strike.
She has money, pay them. Just a reminder, please make sure, I know this is Pat's favorite part always, make sure to like and subscribe, smash that notification bell. Thank you for the reminder. I think Macarius reminded me. I'm so bad at that. All right. We're moving on to the economy. What are we doing for the economy? Well,
it's
we got
very
a couple
good.
things.
We're doing well.
Couple lies. Here's Biden promising the child tax credit. I expanded during the pandemic, cut child poverty in half. That was a lie anyway. Republicans refused to extend it. I'm fighting to restore it because no child should live in poverty in this country. That was another one where, if you remember, I'm sure everybody does, but the calculation was done by Columbia, my alma mater, and I wrote immediately asking them how they could modify that calculation, because when they refused to fight for the minimum wage, that child tax credit and child poverty being halved was also dependent on a $15 minimum wage going through, which it didn't. But anyway.
Yeah, no. So that, just to clarify, people didn't understand that they put out a study.
Did I stutter?
To make the case that it would cut child poverty in half.
Right.
And that study was used by Democrats and everybody saying Joe Biden cut child poverty in half. And it turns out that was dependent on the $15 minimum wage, which once that was moved, they were like, well, it still cuts child poverty in half.
Right.
Even though there's no way.
I'd love to take a poll if everybody understood it when I explained it.
I don't know.
We needed that second one? No, it's good. I'm glad.
You needed some mansplaining there.
Okay, thank you.
Your maths were wrong somehow.
Yeah, somehow my math was wrong. But anyway, as our two friends of the show pointed out, he proposed the expiration date in the first place. Biden did not include it in his budget bill. And only now, of course, that we have a Republican House, are they going to try to put it back in there knowing that it's going to fail, which is the whole deal.
That's the whole shell game.
Jesus. I mean, it just never ends. They're doing it also with last week. There was the thing with Fez Shakur. He had Pete Buttigieg on. And they released this video how, Pete Buttigieg, as the head of transportation, finally was going to make it compulsory that when there are delays or they lose your luggage, you get an automatic, reimbursement of your whole fare was the fine.
It was substantial, whatever that was.
Yeah.
It was like $400, but you had to be delayed by 3 hours or something. There were parameters to it.
Yeah, but it was automatic that it would happen. And now it turns out they probably didn't realize it was going to have to go through Congress, and they have a Republican, he was head of transportation at the beginning of Biden's tenure, didn't do anything for 2 years. And now he's coming up with these airline fines, which, look at this. This is how Fez, I don't know if that's here, but this came to me in an email, and it said, Biden giveth and Congress taketh away. Sure. Like they weren't all doing this on purpose. A bipartisan bloc of senators, including Ted Cruz, is trying to sneak language into the must-pass reauthorization of the Federal Aviation Administration that would undermine this effort, putting the responsibility back on the customer, which means that, of course, it will become a giant nightmare hassle to try to get a refund, and it won't happen. But they must not have realized that they were going to have any Republican pushback.
Right. Or they'll just say, we could add it to the agreement you didn't read when you bought the contract, that this is exempt from that ruling somehow. I mean, there's so many ways capitalists get away with whatever they want. And it's just PR. It's just PR. And look, this is a small win that affects some people way, but
it's like the Ticketmaster thing, sort of.
It is. It's like the thing that people with money, we're going to make it more convenient for you. It doesn't do anything for people that need housing or food or shelter or a job.
Yeah.
But these are the brags that they've got. They've got this as a brag.
Yeah. And they'll blame Congress, which is the whole thing. If I get a Congress that is pro Roe v. Wade, I will sign the bill that they come up with. If I get a Congress, it's like, okay.
If you give me $1 billion, I will do something good for people.
Yeah, come on. Where is
Elect
it?
me.
It will not be those $2,000 checks, though.
Because we know he's not getting the Congress that's needed to do anything. Right. And so when he had it, he didn't do any of these things.
Right.
And he waited till he was a
not lame duck, but sort of lame duck. Yeah. Yeah.
In your third year, you don't propose big things. You accomplish them in your first year.
Right.
In your second year.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah. You don't say, if you give me what I had, I'll do it differently this time. Yeah. Thanks for playing. Please vote harder. Okay. What else do we have? We have, this is great. Millionaires in Maine are in the same tax bracket as somebody making $62,000 a year. So state lawmakers passed a rare bipartisan bill authored by a Republican that raises taxes on the wealthiest. Guess who vetoed it? Democratic Governor Janet Mills. Vote blue.
Well, if you vote for her next time, she'll probably pass it. If you
just two
in
more
her re-election campaign, if you give her it, this game they play is just ridiculous. But the point is, obviously, Democrats are beholden to capital as much as Republicans.
Yeah, they just put a nicer.
They always have a way to kill the bill, or step around it, or blame one person in the
Manchin
party.
and Cinema. Now it's gonna be Fetterman and Gottheimer or whoever the hell. Yeah, there's always.
Yeah, and Fetterman makes such a great villain. I mean, he's their go-to boy right there for that.
Yeah, and he looks the part. It's just so amazing.
And they get to call him a leftist, so it's really blaming progressives somehow.
Yeah, because he ran as a progressive, as a Bernie progressive. Just so despicable.
Painful.
What else do we have? Okay, here is a win. We have Southwest Airlines flight attendants Southwest Airline Flight Attendants Union has ratified a new contract that includes a 22.3% raise starting tomorrow and $364 million in back pay. They are now the highest paid attendants in the industry. I mean, that's amazing. That's union power. That is amazing.
It is. And the important part is that even people not in the union are going to benefit from that, because if you're hiring at another company, you need to compete, and everyone's going to want to go work for Southwest because their flight attendants are getting paid much more.
Yep, exactly. Which is why Lena Khan's non-compete, the FTC and their non-compete, the ban on non-compete agreements,
it's a big deal.
Is really a big deal. Yeah. And as you were saying, it does trickle down, or it does spread is what I meant. Because the Mercedes workers, they haven't even had their union vote, but just the threat of it, they have already gotten rid of the 2-tier wages. They've gotten their UAW pay bump, and they got their boss fired. That's amazing. Like even just the threat of that kind of people power is enough to get some action.
Right. And we're going to get into all the protests and the what's going on the college with Palestine. But in the same vein, the threat of all these on-campus rallies to force colleges to divest from Israeli investments has forced some colleges to come out preventatively and say, we pledge to not in the future, invest in these things. And it has an effect everywhere. So people stay in the streets, stay on the campus, stay in tents.
It does.
Keep
it
raising
really
hell,
does.
keep unionizing.
And I know, again, we always do this preface when we talk about Sean Fain specifically, because we definitely know that he's not a perfect person, and yet he is one of the most visible union leaders who also, whatever the actions end up being, sometimes he is saying things that no one else is saying. And I appreciate that a lot. I think he should pull his support and never should have supported Biden, but he is coming out. They've already said that they want a ceasefire, and says the UAW will never support the mass arrest or intimidation of those exercising their right to protest, strike, or speak out against injustice. Our union has been calling for a ceasefire for 6 months. The war is wrong, and this response against students and academic workers, many of them UAW members, is wrong. We call on the powers that be to release the students and employees who have been arrested, and if you can't take the outcry, stop supporting this war.
And you have to love that he's saying this war is wrong. It's not double speak there. It's just calling it what it is. It's telling his entire union and all the people who are supporting him that we need to show solidarity with these people fighting. And, he recognizes that it's a class issue.
Absolutely.
And that's the important part of the solidarity.
Yeah, absolutely. But
in fairness, yes. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
We're going the same place. But in fairness, I don't want to mispronounce her name, so I'm going to let you say it.
Shama Sawant. It's crucial. UAW President Sean Fain is condemning repression and mass arrests of anti-war protesters on campuses. Now's the time for Brother Fain and UAW leadership to rescind the endorsement of Biden, the warmonger in chief. The labor movement needs to say no to both Biden and Trump, reject both the warmongering parties, of U.S. imperialism and the billionaire class. Vote for Dr. Jill Stein or Cornel West this year as a step towards building a new party for the working class and against war. And yeah, absolutely. Like, nobody takes your words seriously if they aren't backed up by your action. And they just never should have supported Biden or endorsed. But
and as strong as he's been on it, think of how powerful it would be if he said right now, I withdraw my endorsement.
Yeah.
Nothing would have a bigger impact right now that I know of as far as the public perception of things.
100%.
And they would have to cover it because so many people are involved in the unions, and like the media would cover it.
Yeah. What would they label him? A dirty, they would say he's anti-Semitic. They'd say he's a pro-Hamas, Hamas-loving anti-Semite.
Ousted. But you know what? He's done so much for UAW workers. And even if we think he fought some of those battles the wrong way, he won. They love him.
Yeah.
They are not going to vote him out.
And a lot of them are really upset that he endorsed Biden.
Yeah.
So I agree.
He would be a bigger hero, I think.
I think so too. That's a step they never want to take though, because they're all careerists. And the truth is, he's not going to rock that boat, but he should. Just like AOC should. All right. Should we move on? Because should I spin the wheel?
Time-wise, I think we should. Yeah.
Okay. I know there's so much to say, but yes. Okay. So I'm adding, did I just freeze? No, I'm waiting to freeze. That is always good news. All right. I'm going to pour myself a shot and
baby.
Oh, that looks like another shot.
There we go. Should I keep that on there? Their timeline cleanse.
Yeah, why not?
Right.
Let's start with we need some musical.
Spilling from my sippy cup. Oh, McDonald farms horses. Toddlers rage like rude bosses. Oh, McDonald farms horses. Toddlers rage like rude bosses. I'll be throwing a tantrum. Kicking, screaming, demanding. I'm right on the ankle. About to climb on the table. I'ma rip off the diaper. Cut the top of the fire. And if you try, pacify. I'll stuff in my pants, leaving you in strife. And if you try, pacify. I'll stuff in my pants, leaving you in strife. Heck no, I won't do it to tell me. Heck no, I won't do it to tell me. Heck no, I won't do it to tell me. Heck no, I won't do it to tell me. Love my mother suckers. Spilling from my sippy cup. Old MacDonald.
Having kids is hard. It's hard. It can be trying. It's wonderful, but it can be hard.
See, that was kind of wholesome, right?
That was, I loved it. Sippy cup. I wonder what was in her sippy cup.
We know it's your Jesus juice.
It's my Jesus juice. I always have Jesus juice. All right. So, there's good news and obviously lots of bad news coming out of Israel, but and even here in the States. But I do think that the good news, especially on this May Day, as we're trying to connect the solidarity, the mass protest against, the people in power, is right now, this is the encampment list on universities. Over 120 universities now have solidarity encampments for Gaza and Palestine on them. And as far as I know, the major ask for all of them is to divest out of companies that are either weapons companies or doing business with Israel or helping Israel commit genocide, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's mostly about divestment. And, we're talking about
South Africa.
Like, none of this is about asking the college to pick a side on things. It's just like, let's get out of college is not a place that should be making money in the first place. in a perfect world, it's just a net neutral. Teachers get paid from the tuition,
right?
Pays for the property, but no, colleges are for profit, and they're making all this profit, largely a lot of colleges, off of weapons manufacturing.
Yeah. I mean,
so even beyond Palestine, they have no business in that. So everyone should stick and fight for this regardless.
It's so disgusting. It feels like the academic part of it is just like a side tangent that's barely necessary anymore. They're all hedge funds and real estate companies with a militarized cop force to come in and, extricate any distractions. I know we're going to get to that, but just on the protesting, I thought this was also really exciting. Gaza solidarity protests have spread to all 7 continents. Sol 11 of the Green New Deal Network noted Monday that encampments appear to have reached all continents but Antarctica. It's so funny. I don't even think I normally follow him, but I saw that post. And then about an hour later, he's like, I stand corrected, Antarctica. And he did post this picture, but this gets it all into one graphic. Fund science, not genocide photo from Antarctica, which is amazing. I love that. That is amazing. Solidarity always. And how is the U.S. responding?
Really well.
So well. Remember that FISA bill where they said that they could mass surveil us and it passed, and Biden was hustling, the White House was hustling, trying to get those votes because it was a really close vote. Now they want to turn that on college protesters. So when they said, oh, no, don't worry, it's only going to affect, which is what they always say, don't worry, it's not, it's just going to affect people who are communicating with foreigners who are terrorists. And, it's not. Because, and I know somebody was just asking about that anti-Semitism bill, there is now the adoption of the language from the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. Ooh, those shots are kicking in. For the definition of anti-Semitism that basically equates anybody who criticizes the state of Israel as being anti-Semitic.
Right. And all this ends up getting passed down to as guidelines that colleges follow. The colleges literally funding these wars largely to rule out who is out of line.
Yep.
And so if they can point to these guidelines, and it's all, oh, we can point to the ADL. We have all this.
Right.
Congress themselves voted, the phrase from the river to the sea is anti-Semitic. Sorry, I've got a cat in front of me. Drive me crazy.
And they're throwing all this stuff. Okay, so here it happened in the House. 320 votes for, 91 against. I will say, friggin' Marjorie Taylor Greene voted against it, but so did Jerry Nadler, and I don't know who the no votes were, but anyway, that's wildly depressing, especially knowing that this is how, they say, like, this is what, so this is the head of the Democratic majority for Israel.
Yeah, this is
Jubilam.
Ridiculous.
On an American college campus is just a hipster swastika. We had Bill Maher talking about how they're terrorist loving, Hamas supporting, and then he conflated Hamas with Hezbollah and the Iranian, Revolutionary Guard. And, I am not saying that Hamas, I think a lot of Palestinians were not happy with Hamas being their governing body before October 7th. Now they have gained some popularity only because the Palestinian Authority is basically just, they are the capos, they're,
right.
bidding of Israel. So I think knowing that the whole world is sort of against them, I think that there is more of a dispensation to appreciate the fight of Hamas, but
right. And
I'm not sure. They
could have been against the October 7th actions committed in the name of Hamas.
Right.
But then you force their hand because they're the only ones fighting for you. Yeah. And as a citizen of Palestine, you are not going to condone who's your ally. Right. They don't support these terms of a ceasefire, these bogus terms put forth by Israel. They recognize it's all ridiculous, and that they know their place in the world. They know that Israel's just a flat out liar.
Yep.
And so if I was Palestinian and I see all this happening, I mean, you can understand they're the force out there fighting for you at this point.
Right. Yep. Yeah. And so all of these, and I do think there is such, what lack of knowledge, because I know people get really offended if you say ignorance, but truly ignorance amongst a lot of Zionists, and it fuels their rage. They have been taught from a very young age that all Muslims hate them, all Arabs hate them. It's a rough neighborhood. These people are despicable. They want us dead. That's what they've been hearing their whole lives. They are so angry and impenetrable. You just cannot have discussions with them. It's really sort of striking. And I've tried to sort of be like, you should read, I'm actually listening to it now as a book on tape, which is so good. The General's Son, the Miko Peled book, about his father, who was a very high up general in the IDF, in the Israeli army, and turned into a peace activist. And his son is certainly a peace activist. But they're just not ready to hear that. But they have become so hateful, and so all they can do, they say things that, left-wing fascists are the people who are camping out for peace. And these protests have been almost entirely peaceful.
But it's just so ridiculous to pair the word leftist with fascist. Like leftist, there's nothing we want freedom of the press. We want freedom of everything. There's no shutting things down.
Yeah.
Like on the left. Now, yes, I guess if we want to shut down the Nazis, there's some people that are, you shouldn't have Nazi protests. But if you want to even accept that that's a fascist position on the left, well, the Nazi protests don't get the police presence that college kids on campus fighting
Even
through college
just
to get their money out of weaponry.
Yeah, a week ago, or this past weekend, there were Nazi rallies or march at I don't even know which campus, and they were just completely left alone. So because of our time crunch, I wanted to talk about the two major events from last night. One was on my alma mater, Columbia, which was sort of the beginning of these campus protests, the pitching tents and really sort of taking over, occupying, if you will, the campus. It's interesting how Zionists don't really like it when their campuses are occupied, even by people who absolutely rightfully belong there for their $80,000. But it really ramped up. So, this past weekend, we saw House Democrats tell Columbia's president that she had to finish off with these protests, these anti-Semitic protests.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. So she calls in the NYPD, and they just actually released a video. It's like 5 minutes long, and I just saw that it was released like 20 minutes before we went on, so I didn't have time to cut it down. But it's the NYPD's official video of they're staging their attack last night. Like they're dealing with an enemy. Like these are kids who have been incredibly disciplined, incredibly all peaceful. When people have said things that are disgusting, they immediately condemn them and sometimes have asked them to leave. They have been really disciplined in all of this. They don't let infiltrators in when people have come and tried to be instigators, like that woman at Yale who's like, I'm a Jew, what are you going to do to me? Or the woman who comes in walking her dog and she's like, I'm going to call the cops. And I'm like, you're free to pass, you're free to leave. They have been incredibly disciplined and peaceful. And they have guns pointed at them, as we saw at OSU, Bloomington, Ohio State. We saw at
snipers.
Yeah.
Two colleges had snipers.
Yeah, that was IU. That was Indiana University, Bloomington. OSU, I don't think is in Bloomington. Ohio State, I can't remember what town that's in. Columbus, maybe. Anyway. So yesterday they took over one of the halls, Hamilton Hall, which was made famous in 1968 because that's what the hall that they took over when they were protesting the Vietnam War. It was so famous and such a vital part of Columbia's hallowed tradition that it was on their website to promote themselves. Okay, activism in the archives until last night when I looked and that page was not found. How are they going to sell that school? That's amazing. Maybe it's back up now, but I last night I looked because I was like, are they still like having it both ways? And no, it was taken down.
I mean, the same kind of thing is happening at Berkeley, of all places, like the home of the 60s protesting revolution. You know,
the law professors.
It's just,
really gross. They were denied food. They were locked down. The police came in and all, this was released by the WKCR, which is the Columbia radio station. And I guess it's very small, but all of those dots between the trees on Columbia and 113th are cops. And the other thing is there was a statement by those radio announcers. They're like, we're so tired. We haven't left here, because they knew if they left, they wouldn't be able to come back in.
Right.
But if we don't stay and document what's happening, who will? And it was just really moving to see, like, these are kids. They are taking on cops. They're taking on the administrators. They're taking on their disgusting president who's condemning them. They're taking on, they're kids.
And there are some campuses where they're not allowing people to come in, bring water in.
That was Columbia also. Yeah.
Blocking water. I mean, this is, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, this is not going to be a win for Biden, Trump, whoever wins next. You're just enraging the next generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're prohibiting a lot of these kids to graduate. They're canceling graduation. They had online class only, but the ones who are arrested or are protesting will not be getting their diplomas. I mean, it is disgusting.
And we're talking, I don't know the number, but it's got to be over 1,000, because there's plenty of campuses where there's hundreds arrested. So, maybe half of them get their charges dropped, but half of them don't. And some of them can't come back on campus, can't, serious bans. Like, you can't come on campus for 5 years, but you're going to have to take college courses on campus, but you can't come on campus, so they're, and this, they want to put a scarlet R on these people somehow, like, scarlet letter. But I don't know. It's hard to say how it's going to play out. The public knows the right side is with Palestine at this point, but like, what if that's on your record and you go to the next college grad school and
that was the beginning, right? That's how they were threatened by, oh my gosh, my brain, the billionaire guy who's married to the scientist who turns out she was, plagiarizing, the hot scientist to the Zionist lead, Bill Ackman and his wife. And he was the one who was like, I'm going to contact all the law schools. I want to know who these kids are. This was at the beginning. I want to know who these kids are, and they will never get hired by anybody I know. The faculty has been pretty incredible from what I've seen on all of these campuses. There are lots of, solidarity with them walking out.
Is not the administration, and that's an important distinction,
because
the administration is under pressure from the donors, and the people profiting from the schools don't want the divestments because that's their money, that's their profit. So you have a mix of the Zionists largely embedded in a lot of these colleges, and people wanting to make money.
Yep.
And then the donors, are
have
under
nothing
pressure.
to do with education.
Yeah, but all of that has nothing to do with education. Has nothing to do with what the kids on the school want to do.
It's
if you pay $80,000 to go to college and you can't sit on an empty lawn that's not occupied by anybody,
right?
Like, I went to UC Davis, and so much of that space, there's no use for it at all.
Right.
Let people protest.
They're right. Yeah. No, it's insane. And so there were lots of arrests, people who were injured, people have had to go to the hospital at Columbia. Last night here at UCLA, things escalated when so there was a video, I check in on Facebook every once in a while to see what my liberal ex-friends are posting. And there was some agitator, a kid who was like, I want to go through here to go to class. And they're like, no, you can't. And because they know what happens, they come into that space and all they're doing, there was, I think at UCLA, the bag of mice who actually had
diseased mice,
like injections, like biological warfare. A backpack dropped there and the mice are all, sorry, that would have been the end of me. I'm so scared of mice. I know it's ridiculous, but yeah.
That's the same. Did you see the banana thing with someone had a banana allergy that was on the Palestinian side of things?
Yep.
And so the next day they all came back with bananas and
wearing
banana peels around. Like, how does that show your humanity? Like, if we were on our side, if we did that to someone on his, we're literally being anti-Semitic, like instantly.
Imagine.
It would be a death threat. It would be we tried to kill them.
Yeah. And they'd be right. Like, it's horrifying, right? So all these people were upset that, this is who they are. They won't even let him pass by on his own campus. Well, last night, the Zionists had had enough. They came in and started attacking the student encampment of pro-Palestinian activists at UCLA, and cops just stood back and watched. And this is what happened. So they're hitting them. They did a firework like that. Can be really dangerous, actually. Threw like a firework or let off a firework right inside the encampment, sprayed them with skunk spray. But one of the parts of that, they say they were playing music, and we started doing a little deep diving, and this is a pretty insane compilation of how there was a little segment where those attackers were playing music that's become kind of infamous amongst the IDF TikTok brigade, because they use it when they are torturing their prisoners of war. So this is a little explainer. Yeah, so it's a children's song that they use to humiliate and basically torture prisoners that they've taken. And for some of them, like they would blare it for 24 hours on end so they wouldn't be able to sleep. But then it became this whole thing of like mocking them, forcing them to hold. I mean, but the fact that they had that song at UCLA that they were playing, it's sick. It's really sick.
Next level disgusting. I know that you have to go.
I know, you guys. I'm so sorry. We barely got to anything. So we also need to thank all of you. Oz, thank you so much. Oz the Boomer. I got to catch some of his show over the weekend. You all should check it out. Beauty and the Boomer. Thank you, Oz. Kimmy, thank you so much. So wonderful. You guys are so supportive. Reflect the Sun. Thank you. We really, really appreciate all of you guys so much. Thank you. It means a ton to us. Thank you. So do you want to do like the very quick run through of our worst of the week? Do you want to just show like, what do you want to do? Yeah.
Look, worst of the week, Blinken Biden. Jesus.
Butcher Blinken. Butcher Blinken Biden. It's all the same.
Butcher Blinken the butcher, however you want to phrase it. This guy has condoned everything that the U.S. has done, ignored all the hypocrisy.
And the war crimes, because that's war crimes, the State Department. And again, just as a reminder, this was before October 7th that this memo and all of the itemized war crimes, rapes, targeting civilians, all that was there. And he's just left it on his desk.
Yeah, and there are so many reports of dissent within, and a third person left. I don't know if we're out of time. We didn't pull that stuff anyway, but we have a lot of other stuff on Blinken. But utter piece of shit. He's going to go down as one of the worst war criminals in U.S. history, along with Joe Biden and the people that ignored all this genocide. We're gonna know that he had proof of it. I mean, we know already, but there will be literal emails saying, cover this up, or ignore this, sure. And how do we minimize this? How do we make the public believe that this is not a genocide, even though they all know it? So fuck him entirely.
Yeah. One of the ways is the way they instructed all of their sycophants at different legacy media not to say occupied territories, not to mention, like war crimes, not to call it Palestine. I mean, yeah, they have their hands all over this genocide for sure. I am so sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Oh, this is the craziest thing. Oh my God. And nobody even knows if it's true or not. So Israel has just said that they know that there will be arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Smotrich and Gantz and other high members of that administration, arrest warrants issued by the ICC. And right away, Biden and his State Department have said, absolutely, we will enforce the Hague Act. Right? We'll come in, we'll storm them if they try to arrest anybody who's a signature,
they will go after anyone trying to enforce the Hague Act against Israel. So our foreign policy, backed up by Blinken, is that foreign policy doesn't apply to Israel. Israel should investigate themselves on any issue that the world thinks they have a problem with.
Right.
And we'll stop the world from going after them for war crimes. All the organizations which we use to prop up public opinion against other countries,
rules-based order,
wrong. Rules-based order, all of that. So the world is just looking at this, and they're not laughing, they're crying, but we don't.
It's been such an illustrative of how, liars.
Our place in the world is gone. We are no longer even. There's no portents of us being the good guys.
Not at all. And they say, so part of that, the Hague Act that I think was written under Bush, but bipartisan, right, was all the signatories to the ICC and even their special friends, one of whom is Israel, they protect. But Israel's not a signatory. So that's what they're using now as like explanation why Well, Israel's not even a signatory. But when the ICC said issued an arrest warrant for Putin, well, Russia's not a signatory either, but Ukraine is. And by the way, Palestine is. So again, it's like nothing matters. It just nothing matters at all.
Nope, it doesn't. But let's go out on a good note.
Yeah, let's go out on a good note. Okay, thank you all. We'll be back on Sunday. Just because I don't think that this person's name is on the video that we're going to be going out on for our one good thing. This was at, and I think Adria mentioned it, but this was at Cal Poly Humboldt. And I think that the writer is No Shoe. At No Shoe for me. I want to give him props because it is one good thing. It gave me a lot of joy. You all give me a lot of joy. Thank you. Keep punching up.
And I'll try to end the video when the video ends.
Oh my God, that was
last week we were live on air for a good.
You saw us. You saw behind the scenes.
I didn't say anything racist or misogynist, so it was a rare 15 seconds.
Power to the people. Solidarity forever. Thank you to these kids putting their bodies on the line, and thank you guys all.
Amen.
Keep
Cheers.
punching up. Cheers.
Bong bong, that's how you should treat the cup. Make them take more than 5 L's, that's how you beat the cup. Bong bong, do you want this juggernaut? Comrade, go hard with the jug, I call him juggernaut. Cal Poly going too off with big old plastic jugs just like a boob job. They wanna know what I think when I watch first. Thought that popped into my head is this is bunker. Bong 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 bong, what the students say. From Columbia Uni all the way to LA. Let us unify and rise in the coolest way. Motherfuck 12, free Palestine to the grave. Not a single card, there's a lot of love. You know what you got, what a rake on a water jug. It's not a clip, only bitch, it's a life lesson. If you're resourceful, anything can be the right weapon.